Uh-oh, I think we got a first place.
What's close?
All right.
That was very good.
It's still able to like crawl around.
This podcast is going off the rails, folks.
So this is gonna be the best one ever.
Okay, continue your story.
This is Outdoor Lore. Come outside with us as Andrew, Luke, and our family and friends go outside and create memories, stories, and traditions that will be passed down for generations. Welcome to Outdoor Lore.
Welcome to Outdoor Lore.
Outdoor lore.
Alrighty, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a fun one today. Our guest Adam and his boys share some of their recent hunting stories and a whole bunch of awesome outdoor lore that they've created together. Adam is a very successful and experienced hunter, but we don't go too deeply into that today. However, what we do get into is a wonderful example of a father passing down to his sons a real love for hunting, and more importantly, a bunch of lessons in respecting and cherishing the creation that we've been so mightily blessed with. Thanks for watching. He also has a pretty dang good shot at the end. Stick around for the bow board. Appreciate it. Enjoy the episode.
Hey, welcome back to the Outdoor Lore Podcast. Today we have Adam Abraham and his boys, Miles and Finn, on the podcast. Adam is a dad, he's a husband, He's a Christian, he's a big-time deer hunter, and he's somebody who's had his deer hunting goals and objectives kind of change and transform a little bit recently. And we kind of just want to sit down and have a conversation. We have no end goal, just like
no outline.
We just want to.
We're doing it live.
All right.
Hang out and chat.
Well, I've talked about deer hunting most of my life, so
Okay.
if we're just going to sit here and talk about deer hunting,
That's
it.
Yeah.
that should be pretty easy. But I don't want to miss a chance to introduce, well, not introduce her, but shout out to Claire, because I have the two older boys and then a 6-year-old daughter as well.
Yeah.
So, and she's not quite there yet where she's getting into hunting, but she will be soon enough. And but yes, it has changed a lot recently. Miles, how long have you been hunting? You've been hunting. You killed your first deer when you were
8.
8.
Did you kill your first deer when you were 8? No, 9. You were 9.
9.
Yeah. So
And how old
he's
are you
12 now.
12.
Right.
Going on 13.
Nice.
Wow.
Proud of that.
So over the last 3 years,
Yeah.
the focus has shifted a lot more to them and
Okay.
hunting with them. I still like to get out and hunt by myself, do like a rut hunt with my buddies, and but yeah, the focus has definitely changed to trying to get them deer, and even like the practicing and stuff in the backyard, that's shifted a lot more to shooting with them and training with them and things like that.
Family activity.
Yeah.
So tell us kind of like, did you grow up hunting?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's part of like family tradition.
It is. So I'm like, my dad's dad, my grandpa didn't hunt.
Okay.
So really, from my dad to me, that's second generation, and then this would be third generation. I got my hunter safety course when I was 7 years old. So I started really, really young, small game hunting, shooting rabbits and squirrels and things like that. Of course that taught me, gave me some experience in the woods. And then I started out hunting deer when I was 11.
Okay.
It was a little different. My dad had a different approach than I do. My first deer, he took me out in the dark, climbed up the tree with me, tied me to the tree, and then left.
Okay.
And he tied the knot behind the tree to where I would have no ability to
He knew where to find you.
Yeah, he knew I wasn't going to fall, and he knew I wasn't going to get down at all. And yeah,
Hope you don't have to
I
go to
had
the
no
bathroom.
idea. Right, I had no idea when he was coming back or anything. And just like, well, I'm here until.
And
Dad
you're
comes and gets
11.
me. 11. Yeah.
In the dark, in the woods, by
for
yourself.
sure. Yeah, and
How was that?
it was fine. I'm a hunter today, so
Okay.
it obviously
What
didn't
didn't scar
traumatize
you
me.
too
Didn't
badly?
traumatize me too much. I did, the year before I had hunted and didn't kill anything. I actually started hunting when I was 10, and I do have like a distinct memory. We were in southern Ohio hunting Mead Paper Company property. You used to be able to hunt that stuff, like everybody hunted. I don't know if you had to get permission or not, but it was basically just Mead paper land,
Sure.
go out
Like
and
pine
hunt it.
forests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and there were acres and acres and
Yeah,
acres.
we did some
Huge,
of that in Maine last year.
Yeah.
Same sort of paper land company.
Yeah.
Or paper company land.
huge properties.
Yep.
And so, here you have, I'm 10 years old, and my dad takes me out and drops me off. And by the time he dropped me off, I had no idea where I was.
Okay.
I'm like way back in there for a 10-year-old, And I remember freezing. Like, I am so cold, but it's not like I can even walk out.
Right. You know where you're going.
I don't know
you're-
where I'm going. So
yeah.
I'm there just so cold.
You're also tied up.
Until, my dad comes and gets me after dark, and
That's amazing.
yeah.
So
But
I
that was
remember the
kinda-
same kind of thing, and I think it's changed, and it's good that it's changed. But I remember our dad putting us in a spot.
Mm-hmm.
I was 10 also, and he would say, "I'll be able to see you, but you won't be able to see me."
You're like,
Like-
I don't know about that.
That is
maybe.
a factual line that I think
so-
I heard as well. Yes.
He put me. I remember sitting distinctively at a corner of two like old log roads, and I was too young to climb a tree, so I was probably 10 years old, sitting on the ground, and I made like catapults out of like sticks and
Yeah,
bark
you're playing.
and vine. I was
You're
just
just
playing
playing
in the woods,
sure.
from dark till dark.
Yeah.
Never saw anything.
No wonder why.
What do I? Now I'm launching things with like
He's shooting
homemade.
squirrels out of a tree with
Yeah,
a slingshot.
I got a big knife and I'm making catapults.
Right.
That's what I remember from like the first couple years of hunting until I actually killed a deer.
From dark to dark at 10 years old.
Dark to dark.
Full sit.
Yep.
See?
Full day sit.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's hardcore right there.
Pop
man.
Pop just put me there and said. Now
Goodbye.
his story might be different because it's been a long time. He
I
might
know.
remember it
No, I
differently.
agree with that.
But
yeah.
I remember it as dark to dark and never seeing deer because I was making too much noise and moving too much. So I wasn't taught how to hunt. I was told to sit here.
Right.
So
I think that's a generational thing.
yeah,
You'll figure it
Yeah.
out, boy.
No, I will say, like, my grandpa on my mom's side, so not my dad's dad, but my grandpa, my mom's side, he was much more, let's go out into the woods and have fun.
Yeah.
He would we primarily did rabbit hunting and squirrel hunting with him, but if we started to get bored, we'd start a fire, we'd build a shelter, we'd do these different things. And for me, I think I got the best of both worlds. Like my grandpa kind of instilled that, love of the outdoors and just whatever I'm doing outside, I'm
Right.
having fun. And to this day, like, I'm not having fun unless I'm outside for the most part. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
where I love to be. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to my grandpa on my mom's side.
That's great.
But then my dad, he kind of gave me that dark to dark grit and
Yeah,
the ability
grit.
to like,
gur.
grind through because, quite frankly, that's probably the biggest component to being, consistently successful.
I agree.
On
Your
big
capacity
deer.
for
On
pain.
big
Yeah.
deer in particular is like, okay, am I going to get out here and do this over and over
Right.
again? Even
do it
it's-
when you don't want to do it because it's
Yeah.
time to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
So you grew up Ohio. You said that's where you started hunting.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Up in Lorain County, so all the way up north near the lake, and between Cleveland and Sandusky. I hunted in southern Ohio on public property quite a bit. There was some, Wayne National Forest is down there, and Tri-Valley Wilderness area, a few different public lands. But no, I was very blessed, very fortunate to have grown up on a farm.
Okay.
There's a home farm, and then my uncle, he leased a lot of land, owned some other land, and so there was quite a few different spots
Yeah.
that I could get out and hunt. And
That's great.
they held big bucks. There's bigger bucks up there now. Like everybody thinks of Ohio. Well, when I started, that was 30 years ago now. I'm not an old guy,
Yeah.
but 30 years ago, I don't think that there were as many. There were a lot more brown and down type hunters. And nowadays, I think like over the last 10 years, really it's like been probably more than that, probably 15 years. Trail cameras made all the difference.
We've talked
Once
about that a
people
lot.
started to know what was out there,
Yep.
they'd be like, okay, I'm not going to
Yeah.
shoot this basket rack. And then the deer the sizes started to really.
We've talked about that
Age
a lot.
structure.
Where, like even Virginia
Yeah.
is a big buck state right now.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
It's a big buck state.
Luke has
You
been
kill-
saying that for
It's a big buck state.
2 years now.
I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the deer that are killed every year in Virginia. There's big bucks getting killed in Virginia.
There's big bucks, yeah.
Now,
But
I
relative to
understand
other
it's not
states,
Iowa or
It's-
Ohio
yeah.
or Kentucky, but there's a lot of big bucks getting killed every
They're
year
here.
in Virginia.
There's some big deer here for sure. Yep. And you would think, I mean, depending on where you are in the state, like right here where we are, you know, there's some ag ground, there's some good soil. You know, Virginia also has like Shenandoah County though too,
Right.
and you know West, and I just don't think that they're getting. It's hard to make a living on those mountains.
For sure.
You know,
For sure. But there's also big bucks that come out of there every year.
There-
So it's like
there are.
it is. There's some
Yep.
good deer.
Yep.
It definitely not Ohio or it's not the Midwest. But
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is the kinds of deer, like some of the deer that are sitting right there that were killed in Virginia, those deer would like make the newspaper 15 years ago in Virginia.
Oh yeah, so it's getting a lot better.
It's getting a lot better.
Getting a lot better.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It's
for
getting
sure.
a lot better.
Yeah.
So it continues to get better.
Yeah.
So a lot of success as an early hunter, or was it hard for you?
Yeah, I mean, I killed a lot of deer. You know, I didn't kill anything that big until, I don't know. I guess I was probably still in high school when I
Okay.
started to pass deer and shoot big deer. And, you know, I was primarily archery guy and still am. You know, I've killed every one of my... No, I've killed one buck with a muzzleloader. This deer this year is kind of a hybrid, but yeah, almost all of them have been with a muzzle or with a bow.
How is
And-
it a hybrid? I'm sorry to interrupt.
So that deer this year, do we want to jump ahead into the stories of the deer that we've killed this year? Because that's a heck of a story, actually.
Maybe I'm jumping
Curious.
ahead too far, but
Yeah,
you
we
said
can
it was
jump.
a hybrid between muzzleloader and archery.
So, all right. So I'll tell you about this
Go where
deer.
you want to go with
Yeah.
it. But
so this is the buck I killed this year.
Nice
and
looking
not,
buck.
He's not huge. But
Interesting
he's
rack.
a
Yeah.
decent sized deer. And I was hunting with my bow, and a good buck came in, and it came in super fast. I heard him grunting. You know, it's peak of the rut, so things can happen very, very quickly. And I see him coming through the hardwoods. He's coming down. I'm like, okay, he's going to cross my shooting lane right about there. So I reach down, I grab out my rangefinder, and I range the spot where I think he's going to cross. It's like 30 yards, you know. He keeps moving. Then he like just takes this last minute turn. He's going to cross my shooting lane further down. I'm like, oh man, so I'm really scrambling.
Okay.
And I grab out my rangefinder again and I shoot it, and it's going to cross at 40 yards. So I jerk my bow back just as he's pulling into the shooting lane, and I try to stop him and go like this. He pulls up and I squeeze it off. Just as I squeeze it off, he takes eases forward, and I catch him far back.
Okay.
So I knew I'd hit him back, and he does the classic it looks like a gut shot, I'm hoping maybe I got liver or something like that, but he kind of like tucks his tail and he kind of goes on up there, stays there for a long time. I watch him and he kind of eases out of sight, and so rain was coming in that night. We came back at about 10 o'clock just to see if we could get some blood and maybe, you know, find him before the rain came in. We didn't. We found some blood and found some, you know, where he'd gone, but the rain came in, and I said, you know what, we're going to pull out and we'll come back the next morning, but it's going to be a cavity search. So what I did was the next morning I came back and I just carried my muzzleloader, because I was like, if he happens to still be alive, I don't want to be trying to follow up shot with.
what do you mean by
bow.
cavity search?
Just looking for the deer, like dead on the ground,
yes.
and yeah.
So you're not tracking blood.
Yeah, because after the rain,
Yeah.
there was going to be no chance of tracking the blood anymore. Now we're just kind of, and you know what we use? We use like the apps, you know, like it can be Onyx or I use Hunt
grid
Stand.
search.
Yeah, so I'm just like grid searching it with my buddy, and you know, we'd been searching for quite a while. I think I had covered a little over 3 miles, just kind of down this way, back this way, down this way, back this way, and he's kind of doing this, and I'm thinking, man, I'm not gonna find this deer. Like, he's probably in the next county. So, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drop way off the top of this hill, get down to the bottom of this creek, and see if maybe that's where he went. And it's a long way from where I shot him, you know. But I'm just walking this creek, thinking maybe he's gone this way. I'm not being quiet.
Sure.
I'm just
Yep.
looking for a
Yep.
deer, you know. And I look up ahead of me, and there's this buck, and it's a decent sized buck. I'm like, holy cow. And my mind immediately goes to, this is my deer, but he's on his feet, and so I don't want to shoot him until I know it's my deer.
Right.
So I get down, I'm on my knee, he's like 60 yards away, and I wait for him to take a couple steps, and he does, and he's clearly injured. Like he's limping and kind of like dragging. I'm like, that's my deer, bam, and he goes down right there.
Oh,
So I go. So that's why I said like it was kind of a
Yeah.
combination. Like I
Yeah.
thought I shot him with a bow, but then I shot him with a muzzleloader. The story continues on.
Okay.
uh-oh.
I go up to him, and he's still got his head up. So I shoot him again,
Yep.
and I leave. I just walk up the hill. It's a long way up the hill. I get my buddy. We go back down into the bottom, and the deer's still alive. He's got his head up still, And I'm like,
Deer's a
"Oh,
tank."
Yeah, he's just like not dying. So
Just pumping testosterone.
right, and so now I go up like 6 yards away from him, really, really close, and I shoot him again, right in the neck, just boom, like this. And this is a 50 caliber muzzleloader,
Yeah.
and so we're sitting there, just talking, letting him expire and everything, talking about how we're going to get him out of here. We're way back in there. We're down at the bottom of the hill. We're talking, and he's just not dying. So my buddy's like, well, I'm going to go up and I'm going to slice his neck and just put him out of his misery. All hunters want to, as humanely as possible, kill these things. And this is not ideal at this point, but we're still trying to do the right thing and kill him as quickly as possible. So he goes up there and he tries to cut the deer's neck. Or he does. He cuts the deer's neck. So we're sitting there talking and everything. So I'm like, all right, I want to go up and get a picture with him. So I get around behind the deer. So now this deer's been shot 3 times. Its neck has been cut. I get around behind the thing and I grab its antlers, and the thing jumps up.
And shot with a bow.
Yeah, and takes off running.
Unbelievable.
Not like 10 yards, not like 10 feet. I mean, he's staggering, but he runs like 60 yards before
Holy
falling
cow.
back down.
That's
Like,
nuts.
toughest mountain buck ever. I shot him again. I just came up and said, forget it. I'm not shooting him in the neck, not doing it. I'm just going to shoot him in the lungs and be done with it.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, then he expired right there, and we got him out. But that was a
Holy crap.
tough mountain buck.
Wow.
And probably one of the toughest mountain bucks I've ever been around. Miles, why don't you tell your story about your deer since we're jumping into...
So,
It did not get shot by a bow.
my buck,
The bow.
Well,
Different buck.
yeah, and that was... So Finn is 100% correct. This buck did not end up being my original buck. It was injured by another hunter.
Holy
Because
smokes.
it's rifle season, and it wasn't an archery injury. It was just another buck that had been shot in the back.
What in
of the
the
head.
Shot
world?
5 times.
Yeah, something like that. It was just
What a warrior.
hard to keep
Holy
up.
smokes.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Wow.
Well,
So.
still incredible deer.
it was
Great
fun.
deer.
Yeah,
Real cool.
It was a great story.
What a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
a good one.
Yeah, and he ate well. So
Yeah.
no problems there. We
I was gonna ask how much meat did you lose
So-
from that many bullets?
quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
more than I would have
Front.
liked. We hauled a lot of. We actually quartered them up back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then hauled them out on,
Yeah.
on our backs. But so anyway, yeah, that was this year's buck, and I had the worst year in the family, and I
Okay.
still got a buck because Miles. How many deer did you kill?
5.
Wait a minute, count them.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you're right. I tagged out in Kentucky, which is only 3 deer, and I shot 1 in Ohio. So you're right, 4.
4
4
deer.
deer.
4.
Yeah.
You're just adding numbers. Good job.
3 plus
But-
1
yeah,
is 5.
That's
Four.
right. That's right.
4 deer on how many shots?
4 deer.
How many shots?
4.
4
Nice.
shots. Yeah.
Well done.
Nice.
Well done.
So,
That's good.
and then Finn killed. How many deer did you kill?
This year I killed 2 deer, 1 coyote.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
First coyote?
Coyotes count as 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us the stories of your bucks this year then? Let's hear it. You
Okay. My buck was really, really interesting story. Not as crazy as his story, obviously, but it was a crazy story. So we were out there me and my brother actually out there alone.
Saw the deer. Every single one. He was on his phone all the entire time.
That checks out.
Apparently, we had a friend there. His name is Isaac.
Side by side.
He wrecked the side by side. That's another story for my dad to tell. We're out there.
Well, no, it was just Miles and Finn. So I dropped you guys off at a hunting spot like we talked about, but this is kind of like the Taj Mahal. Yeah, no, this is like
we were
the
in,
Taj Mahal
we
of
were-
hunting spots.
We were in one of the fancy blinds.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like an elevated
Yeah.
blind, doors and
I ended
windows.
up taking off my big jacket. I was hot in that.
So-
what happened?
So we were out there. We were out there for like 10, 20 minutes, and
Longer than that, but like an hour and a half. Yeah.
maybe an hour. But these group of 3 does come out, and this is early in the. Hunt. I didn't want to shoot a doe right then because I already shot a doe this hunt.
He was very committed to killing a buck.
That's good.
Yeah.
You had already passed several bucks, and he was looking for a little bit bigger buck than he had killed previously, previous years. So he's pretty dedicated.
That's good.
Anyway, so go ahead.
They were there for like 30 minutes to an hour.
So you're just watching them?
Yeah, we're just watching them. Just like, I'm taking videos, sending them to my dad. They're like underneath the blind, walking in and out. This one doe is being really, really aggressive. He's like kicking and beating up this one other. This one, the biggest one, it's the biggest one that's being kicked and pushed away. So we think this doe is gonna walk away, and I'm like, oh no, it's getting to be dark. I have to shoot this deer. So the deer, we open up this window. It's like they're looking at us.
It's just these two in the blind.
Yeah. So the one aggressive doe is being like being very, very cautious. So we, centimeter by centimeter, get the window open to the point I can get my gun out. Gun. Okay. Thank
Ben's gonna
you.
keep all the stories on track. Like this
Yep.
is exactly how this happened.
I get the barrel out. Thank you. Get the barrel out, and I shoot the one deer. Right,
The doe.
the doe.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a doe.
Okay.
Yeah. It drops. It like does that one slowly like sets itself down on the ground, and then it's like, oh dang, I got shot. So it gets back up. It's like stumbling all around. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a spine shot, but it.
What'd you
Jump-
shoot it with?
I shot it with a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it. That put it down pretty quick.
Yeah,
'cause it wasn't very far.
This was at like 15,
Yeah.
15 yards.
So
Oh, wow.
she's done. She's dead. And
She-
then you texted me and you said,
Doe down.
Doe down.
Exclamation point.
right. And what did I say?
You said, yeah.
Yeah. And then I said, stay there, right?
Stay there, right?
Like-
Morning, but wait for the.
Wait for it to get dark. See if anything else comes out. It turns out something else did come out.
Big group of deer.
A big group of deer came out. It was a spike, a buck,
And
a doe.
he did not see this, but there was also a massive buck, maybe even bigger than the one that I shot right there, that I saw go into the woods.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah,
lesson of that
apparently it
is
was
don't
like
be
a
on your phone.
really yeah.
Attention.
Yeah, there was 2 does, a spike, and a 5-point. So he's not that big. But I don't want to shoot this buck because he's kind of small, right? He looks like 1, 2 years old. Yeah, we wait for like 5-10 minutes. They ended up spooking and running off. And then so before that, Finn was like, oh, it's a big buck, it's a big buck, it's a big buck, it's a big buck. And I was like, no, it's not, no, it's not. And then I was like, oh, there is a buck. The deer spook, go back into the woods. And then like 5 minutes later, these 2 bucks, Finn does see them.
I see all the deer on the trip. Every
good.
single one. Every single deer on the trip I saw. Isaac's first deer I saw. All the deer that he saw, I saw. He was on his phone for some reason. Maybe because he wasn't allowed to.
You made the point that I was on my phone, but I was.
Anyways,
Alright,
so
keep
the
going,
5
keep
point
going.
leaves.
These 2 bucks come out. They're pretty big.
Yeah.
The one is bigger. It's like super tall. We've seen it on a trail cam picture. So I was like, I recognize that buck. That's the buck I'm going to shoot. So they're eating the corn. We get the window open without much trouble. And then they're standing like really close to each other, like this.
Yeah.
With their heads down, they don't realize we're there. So I was really scared that I was going to shoot both deer and kill both deer.
I see what you're saying.
Which would have been cool.
That Finn says that would have been awesome,
But
but
it's been illegal, right?
it would have been illegal. I would have had to take Isaac's tag, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you made
So-
the right choice to not
Yep.
shoot him then.
Good choice.
So I was waiting. I was getting anxious. I was like, oh no, I really want to shoot this buck. This is a big buck. And it turns out I ended up shooting them. They hadn't moved. They'd moved like the. So it didn't. I shot them. Tried to shoot lower so that I wouldn't kill the other buck. I might like hit it, but I wouldn't kill it.
Okay. Did you? And what happened?
I just want to point out that the deer were the reason that I made the shot possible. If they weren't like this, they were more like so he could hit one like down here.
Yeah, and it wouldn't. So you did a good job trying to make sure that they weren't perfectly lined up behind each other.
Yeah.
You shot
So
them.
I tried to shoot lower.
Yeah, and then what did he do?
The buck behind the buck that I was trying to shoot, it did that death jump. It like jumped super high, so I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. The other buck just bolted into the brush, right? Like, it was gonna be a hard deer to track. There's a bunch of brush everywhere. So, yeah, I texted my dad, buck down, all caps, exclamation point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you, like, my favorite part of the season was when I came and picked them up,
Yeah.
right? Because it was close to dark at that point, and I
it was
drove
like
up
5.
on
It was like 15, 20 minutes. It felt like 4 hours
Yeah.
when you just shot a buck.
But I drove up on the side by side, and they were both out of the blind, and they were just so ecstatic. I mean, they were jumping up and down. They were, Dad, like unable to really control
Yeah,
themselves,
of course.
and that was really, really cool.
Amazing.
That was
Yeah.
really, really cool.
That's like a
and we did,
lifetime memory moment.
Oh,
right?
no doubt,
That's
no
so
doubt. I'll
cool.
have that forever.
Some
You know,
outdoor lore.
That's
Yeah.
outdoor lore right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 12 and 9, it's just gonna be
Yeah.
ingrained in my brain forever. Coming up there, and we did have a hard time kind of tracking him.
It
He
took
hit
us
it
like 20
perfect. Like it was a good heart shot.
But
like,
the crazy thing is, when there was like specks of
yeah,
blood,
very
like very little blood.
Did
blood.
you hit
He-
the one that you were trying to
no.
hit?
No,
Yeah, the
I-
one he's trying to hit.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think
No.
I hit the other buck.
He didn't.
You just
The
scared
bullet
him.
didn't even
Yeah.
go through the deer. Yep.
That's
So,
good.
yeah. So when we, and that's probably why I didn't have great blood. The bullet didn't
Right.
actually go all the
No
way through the deer.
Yep.
But he
Yeah.
only went
But it
like
was-
40 yards.
It was all internal bleeding. Like
Yeah.
that's why it was so hard. It was just little like psh, psh.
Yeah.
It was
And it was
super
in that
hard.
high grass, like this, like little stems, just very hard to show
Yeah.
up.
Taller than
But
me.
we did find them, and
You want to? Did you bring him here?
Yeah.
Today to show us?
so you can.
Oh wow.
This is
deer.
him right here. He's
I got it.
yeah. He's super unique deer. I think.
Yeah.
He is super tall, not super wide, but his antlers come here like this. They're like
Almost cross.
They almost crossed.
almost like. I just find that so crazy. Still
That's
even
awesome.
looking at him, he's like.
Well, you should be very proud of yourself. That's
Yeah.
a
Really.
I am.
very good deer.
Really good job.
No.
Really good job.
We don't
Looks a lot
struggle
like
with
my
that
deer.
around here. I mean,
No.
he just needed.
No, that's awesome.
Well done. Well done.
Thank
I'm
you.
impressed.
All right. So Finn, do you want to tell us your story about your buck? We're into our season this year.
Or do you want to hear about
Your first deer.
Yeah.
Finn likes to tell his story about his first deer.
Let's hear it.
And maybe the reason Miles was so concerned.
Come sit a little closer.
Yeah, slide over a little bit, bud.
Yeah.
A little further.
So
There you go.
Finn was the youngest. Finn, how old were you when you killed your first deer? 8?
8.
8 years old. So
Miles, make sure he tells the story right, okay?
that's right.
Well-
Interrupt him at least 10 times.
Well, okay. So,
Finn, be nice.
it was our last hunt it was our last hunt of our trip down there. So,
This is youth season
I
again in
was like-
Kentucky. We're down there.
I was like really committed. I was like, Dad, I'm not moving from this blind until we shoot a deer, or at least until I shoot something. So then it's time to leave. We haven't seen anything. So I'm like, no, I want to stay. And then my dad says, okay, fine. We'll go on like a stock hunt. So we walk around. We walk like 100 and maybe 10 yards away from the blind. And I look behind us, and there's a big group of doe coming from this road.
Hey, I just want to point out, I saw the deer first.
That's good.
That
So,
wasn't
wait,
mine.
who
It
saw
wasn't-
him first?
I saw him
You
first.
saw him first.
I saw
He
him
didn't
first.
see him? Was he on a cell phone?
I didn't have one at the time.
Still don't have them.
Okay. All right. So anyway,
So-
sorry, Finn. I had to correct you there. You said you saw him. I saw him first.
Okay, whatever.
So your dad sees the does.
We saw.
So, we start stalking up. We get to like 85 yards, and we only have the cross sticks,
Yeah.
and
The stand.
those. So we set that up, and I see this big doe in the front, and it's a really hard shot, and this is my first deer. So, I'm like, can I make it? Can I make it? So I shoot it. It hits in the spine. We go up,
Have to make a follow-up shot.
and then we're walking back to the truck. We record that, and
The video of the follow-up shot's so funny. Finn's like,
bye bye.
He does.
That wasn't the follow-up shot. That was the real shot, and I actually did whisper bye bye.
We better try and get that video.
It's like, bye-bye.
So we're walking back to the truck. My dad's videoing me telling the story, which it seems I have to do a lot, like at the dentist's. And I actually had to do it at the dentist's.
You had to tell the story at the dentist.
Yeah, they wanted to see like my talking, how good my talking was, but let's not get sidetracked. Okay, that's an exact quote from my teacher. Okay. So when we get to the truck, we're driving back. We get to the field that we shot it in, and then my dad almost runs over the second doe. That's a little one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
shot-
he's like, "Oh my gosh, there's another doe!"
it was a little fawn like this.
Share that mic.
There was a little fawn like this.
Use your hands.
There's a little fawn like this, so he spine shoots him, and the little fawn's head is up like this. You didn't see it because it's like super small deer. They spine shoot the one, and it hits it in the neck, and spine like barely hits it. It's paralyzed, but it's still able to like crawl around.
This podcast is going off the rails, folks.
Kinda is.
This is gonna be the best one ever.
Okay, continue your story.
So that's the end of that story, Finn.
Is that the end of that
Let's
story?
jump. Let's fast forward. Finn's claim to fame is 2 deer, 1 shot, and I think it will be forever. Like he loves telling this story.
Okay,
Killed 2
so
deer, 1 shot.
The point of was that your first deer?
That was his first and second deer
With one shot.
with 1 shot, and he had the follow-up shots to do.
Technically, the bigger one was my first one. It was only like a split second. It was like bam bam. So technically, the bigger one was my first one.
Okay. All right, we give you that. All right, so Finn, fast forward to this year. You're hunting with me.
For the buck?
Well, the coyote was first, right? So,
Do you want me to tell you a story on that?
yeah, but just real quick, just kind of tell us about the coyote.
We always like shooting coyotes.
Yeah,
so
coyotes.
Any dead coyote's a good
Oh,
coyote.
you're gonna love the shot that I made then.
Okay, let's hear it.
So it's the first hunt. I'm hunting with my grandpa, and one of these fancy blinds that Miles said on our gas line, And the first thing that we see is a doe that's like 180 yards out. It goes into the woods. Like 20 minutes later, we see a spike to our left. It goes back into the woods because I'm obviously not going to shoot a spike.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, that's not a spike.
He's very quick to point that out.
That's no spike.
No spike.
Okay. So, and then we see a coyote come out to our left. It runs out right in front of us. It stops at the end of the story. At the end of the story, I'll tell you why it stops. So I shoot it right in the heart. It stops. It stops, dies, and it's like putting its head up. It's like dead practically. It's a zombie, literally.
I can tell you guys really have a hard time with like getting over killing things. It's pretty difficult for you guys. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
In the whole.
No.
Well, the hole I made in its chest, like its head's up here. I made it right in the chest. I made it right like that big, like, and also, this is a pretty weird part of the story, but it was the only way.
Ben?
You want me to tell that part?
No.
Okay, fine. Do it. Okay. Now on to the buck story because that was as fast as I could do it. Okay, so we get in this same line that Miles shot that buck thing, whatever you want to call it, in it, doe. So
Also, the same thing with my buck. We've also been seeing his buck on trail cam a lot. It's like, it's also like that buck that's always there.
Here, Finn, you can hold your. Not a spike.
That's not a spike. That's
it's
a
not
22
spike.
pointer.
It's not spike. See these little things? Not
It's
spike.
not a spike. So that's your
So-
first buck.
That's his first buck.
Awesome.
So we get out there. We don't see anything. The first thing we see is actually this buck. It comes from our right. We get the gun and the big bog rest out that window all the way to our left. And then it moves all the way to our front. So then we have to move the rest all the way over. No, it moves to all the way to our right. So we have to move it all the way over there. And then we shoot it. I don't think I hit it because I see a lot of dust go up behind it. And then I see a lot of blood on a leaf. So yeah, I hit it.
Well, congratulations. So that's your
And-
first buck.
Well
ever.
done.
But we had to track it like we're going in like circles, loops, tracking it, and then it turns out to be like almost right behind our blind.
Oh my goodness. I've had
So,
that happen
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Finn's exact quote, apparently from my dad's, he goes, "Oh my gosh, this buck is huge!"
Well done.
Their
should be proud of it.
personalities are very different, right?
Yeah.
Hunting with each of them. Miles is fairly calm, cool, and collected, and always has been from his first deer. Finn has a very hard time, like settling down enough to make the shot.
Yeah.
And we got deer
Dominoes.
falling everywhere.
Dominoes.
BBD.
All right. There you go.
Well done. Well done.
So, yeah, Finn has to like talk himself into it, like calm down. But he's not. It's not mentally. He's
talking.
He's talking.
love
He's just like, okay,
I love it.
all right, be quiet. Okay, calm down. Okay, breathe. He talks himself through. Okay, aim. Okay, like through the whole thing, he talks
love it.
himself through it, and then boom, and he makes good shots. And for the most part, him and Miles both, they've done really really well. And
Clearly,
So,
they think they're experts now. You know.
well,
they seem like it.
yeah, they're doing good. I mean, they're ahead of most people at their age.
They're ahead of
For sure.
me.
So, kind of,
Can I tell him about my first buck?
Your first buck? Well, yeah.
That's a fun story.
I mean, yeah. There's so many stories. Like
So many.
so many stories.
his first buck was not a one-shot kill. It was you missed him twice, just clean miss, and the buck just kept coming back out into the food plot, and so third shot he got him. But yeah,
Also,
we have a lot of fun.
it was not a spike. It was a 6-pointer.
I think I've seen pictures of it.
8 point. 8
Yeah.
point. It was an 8 point.
Nice.
Yep.
So,
So.
4 + 4 = 6.
Yeah, and I hope, you know, they're still young. I think when they're this age, Miles is kind of trending out of it already, but up until this point, anything Dad does is fun. Anything Dad does, and you know this,
Yeah.
like it's cool. They're gonna do it. Of course, they're gonna do it because Dad's doing it. So my hope is that they continue doing it.
You seem
And it's
excited about it.
They do
Yeah.
right now, but who knows? I mean, girls haven't been factored in yet, and that can change everything. Sport, like they could latch onto something else and be
Right.
like, "Dad, I don't want to go to Kentucky and sit in a deer
Right.
stand," you know. But it's been I've made every effort to introduce it to them in a way that they enjoy it and that hopefully they continue on with it. It's such a good tradition. It teaches so much. I mean, one thing that it teaches patience.
Right.
It
Yes.
teaches hard work. You know, they have to wake up early. They have
Yep.
to get out there. They got to sit in the cold.
Type
all
2
these.
fun.
It is. That's what we
Yep.
talk
Yeah.
about. It's
Yep.
type 2 fun, where in the moment it's not fun, but they remember it
Yes.
forever.
Yeah.
They can sit here on a podcast and have a story to tell.
Yep.
But they would rather, by their own proclivity, sit and play video games.
Of course.
Or
Yeah.
or not get out of bed.
course.
Well,
I mean-
if you're 12 and you're thinking, do I want to go sit in the cold or do I want to go play video games?
Yes.
Video games might seem more interesting,
Yeah.
but you won't remember video games.
You don't
in a
remember the
year.
roller coaster.
You're going to remember your first
Right.
buck forever.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between type 1 fun, which is video games, and type 2 fun,
Right.
which is going out there and being a little bit cold, a little bit uncomfortable,
Suffering.
and
100%.
making a real memory.
Yeah, suffering with people you
So-
care about.
Adam,
100%.
you've had, I mean, we got a giant buck over there. You've had history.
Hold
and-
up. Pause. I think my camera died.
Oh, did
It's
Okay.
it's blinking
What were we
overheating.
talking about?
So
We're-
before the camera died,
Which it might die again.
might die again. We
If
got
it
two other
does,
cameras.
we can take
I'll
a
cut
longer
and
break.
we'll be all right.
Okay.
So you had a hunting career that was very successful, killing big bucks. You still do. Like you're still out here killing big bucks. But
Yes.
your mindset clearly has shifted where
Yeah.
there's like more joy in watching somebody else do it. Like that seems to be a pretty clear shift. Like your stories about your boys hunting
Right.
are the priority now. And how did that, I mean,
Yeah, and I want to be as honest as I can about this. Like, I still love to hunt
course.
by myself, and there's still something like I try to get out and go hunting.
Right.
Like I said with the buddies, and do that rut hunt once a year or something. But no, I mean, when you get to do it and share it with your kids, and like I said, when I pulled up on them and they were just super excited,
Hooting and hollering.
that was a much better experience than if I had killed a big buck. And it really,
Yeah.
really was. So I love it. I love sharing that with them. And like I said, the hope is that they continue doing it, and then they pass it down. I get to do it with my grandkids, and we
Yeah.
just continue to pass that.
It'll be interesting
right
to
on
see
down.
how it goes too, because your dynamic shifted from like only you out there hunting to then you're hunting with your boys.
Oh
and
yeah, and
eventually
it's
you'll be
so
hunting with
much
your
more
daughter.
work. Everybody needs to recognize that. If you're going to start hunting with your kids, it is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have to remember everything. They're not going to remember a darn thing. You
No.
know, like
They're
you
along
gotta-
for the ride.
Exactly. And
But then
and,
it's going to shift at some point.
and then they're noisy and they scare deer away, and you try not to get frustrated. You definitely have to have a mindset shift
Right.
of like, we're just out here. We're not trying to
Yeah.
kill every deer in the woods. We're just trying to have fun.
Yeah. And instill that legacy of
Yeah.
outdoors in
Yeah.
their lives. But at some point it's going to shift, and it's going to be interesting to see how that happens with you and your boys, where now you're not taking them hunting.
They're
They're
good
your hunting
hunters.
buddies.
Yeah,
They're
they're good.
your hunting buddies, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And you guys
that'll be
are
cool.
planning things and figuring things out
I can't wait.
together.
Yeah.
That's going to be an
That'll
exciting
be really
shift.
cool.
Yeah.
And kind of seeing how
Well,
like,
that's-
the
that's-
timeline of your hunting career.
Yeah. And so like exercise and staying fit and stuff, like all of this is a motivator for me.
Yeah.
So that I
Yep.
can continue to do that
Yep.
with them long into their,
Adult lives. Yeah.
their adult lives, my older
Yep.
age,
Well, you want to live long enough to tie their kids to a tree.
yeah,
That's right.
the
That's
point.
right. That's
Tie
right.
into the tree. So, but yeah, we hunt, every year we go to Kentucky, which is where our hunting property is. We hunt there. We hunt here in Virginia, a couple of different places. We hunt Ohio. And yeah, we just make memories every time we go out there. And it's not always deer hunting either. Like sometimes it's just going out and putting the food plots in. It's going out and shed hunting. And
Right.
that's right around the corner for us
Yeah.
now. We love that.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I think that's something that people don't always understand or recognize with hunting is, when you walk up on a big buck, that is a super incredible moment. But that is just a moment in like
Right.
an entire year of
Work,
preparing for it and work towards it. And even if, like, my buck this year, never saw him before, but I spent a lot of time out there working on getting things right so that we could make it happen. I think that's a huge part of it that kind of gets lost, and especially gets lost with kids, because it'd be really easy for you to say, you know what, it's a lot easier for me just to get everything done and then just take you out and put you in the box blind.
Yeah, and I might be able to do a better job about that sometimes, like make them do some of the work rather than set everything up for them, because there is a fine line. It's like you want them to enjoy it.
Right.
You want them to have good, positive memories, but at the same time, they need to have the full experience. They need to know, like what is truly involved. So.
My dog is going nuts because of
Yes.
your big old buck over there.
Yes. He wants to track him. It's like, I found him. Anyways.
So I think we've got we've kind of gone a little bit all over the place, but that's kind of what we wanted to do. Like, we'll talk. You're an experienced hunter. You got a lot to contribute. So we'll talk about like tactics and exciting things that you've done in the past. But you brought a giant buck. You want to tell us about him?
Yeah. So
You want to grab him later?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get him. You got him. Go ahead.
So I didn't know where the podcast would go, so I just brought this buck.
Just casually.
And
just casually.
well, I like showing this buck off. So this was this one, everything went right. They don't always go right, but this hunt, everything went 100% right. It was a rut hunt, and our daughters are waving at us out there. It was a rut hunt, and I snuck in the back door, so came in probably. I expected them all to be kind of out in the staging areas, out in the food plots, and doing their thing, chasing does and stuff overnight. And then I was like, I'm going to sneak, not get right close to that. I'm going to sneak way in the back door, perpendicular to their line of travel. I got in there quiet, set up in the dark, tree saddle. Like, the whole thing was just like the perfect experience. Sometimes it doesn't feel right.
Right.
Yeah.
This felt right.
you
I
did
was
something
there.
It felt
the
like you were
weather
in
was
control of it. It
right.
wasn't just luck.
Everything was
Yeah.
going, and then he came in like on a string right where you would want him to come, a little bit further away than you want him to come. But yeah, put a good shot on him, and this was like probably 10 minutes after daylight, and you knew what he was doing. He was sneaking back to get wherever he felt safe, and he was moving right along. He didn't have a doe with him. He was just like, oh man. He's probably like, I'm stuck. Oh, it's getting light already.
Stayed out too late.
Yeah.
But
Man, that's a great deer.
he snuck back in, and we did have some history with this deer. He was on a lot of our trail cameras for a couple of years. He has that kind of palmation webbing or whatever, so we called him Webb. And I know some people are like, "Oh, you name your deer and everything like that." But
Confused if
you don't.
yeah, so we had this buck, and my dad had picked up his shed, so
Wow.
knew he was there. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool because I didn't know for sure which deer it was when I shot him.
Yeah.
I triggered the release, and I knew he was big. He ran up the hill, and he kind of tipped over, and I saw the rack tip over. Like, oh yeah, he's a nice buck. I went up. I was like, holy cow, this is Webb. And
Wow.
we had never had a trail camera picture of him on that side of the road. And this was like at least 3/4 of a mile away from where we had all of the trail camera pictures of him. And I just, wasn't there hunting this deer in particular during the rut. You never know where they're going to show up if
That's
you've
an
got
impressive deer.
And,
It's a real good deer.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was a good buck.
Yeah,
Real
he
good
is.
buck.
So,
Wow.
All right. Well,
nice mask.
we definitely want to have you back on. Talk
Okay.
more like targeted and focused
All right.
stuff. But we wanted to have you on and hear your stories and your
They're passionate.
your kids' stories. They are fired
passionate.
up. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah. They're falling in love with the outdoors. That's for sure.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're building a tradition and a legacy of outdoors, so you should be commended for that.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming
what it's
on.
all
You're
about.
also first place on the bow board.
Yes.
Hey,
And it's not
there we
even
go.
close. So
All right.
all you future guests, you got to get it within an inch.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
luck.
set the bar high.
Good luck. So
Appreciate
thanks for
it.
coming on.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right. You got your editing work cut out for you, man.
Oh, podcasts are easy.
Are they?
This is going to be the hardest podcast, for sure.
I'll take it.
You're doing it. All right, today we got our next contestant on the bow board, Adam Abraham. He's a family friend, big deer hunter, and he's going to join us on the podcast. But we're running out of light, so he's going to shoot for the bow board first, and we're excited to see how he does.
Yeah.
So-
And when you told me I had to shoot your bow, I was a little bit nervous, but they did give me a warm-up shot. So
Warm-up shot
right.
was pretty good. We got high expectations. So let's
All
see
right,
what we do.
Let's do it. Oh, do you want to introduce the?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so also on the podcast, we've got my two boys, Finn and Miles, and they are turning into real deer killers. They had a great season this year, and they're excited to tell you guys about it for
Yeah.
sure.
Fantastic.
All right.
All
All right, let's
sweet.
shoot.
Try not to rip the mic off here. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, I think we got a first place.
Looks close.
All right,
That was very good.
let's walk down there and see if we even need to measure it.
Here. That was a dot. Holy smokes.
Put your finger up there, Miles.
I'm going to go ahead and say that that's first place
All right.
before we even
Good deal.
get the measurement. I think we got a new winner.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tough to beat.
35 yards.
Split pin, second shot on a bow that he's
We're
never
gonna say
shot
1¼ inches.
There you
before.
go.
Wow.
First place.
right,
Congratulations.
cool.
That's awesome.
Well done.
Good job. Second place is like 4 inches. It's really hard to shoot somebody else's bow. It's really hard. So that's very
So
impressive.
maybe I'm just lucky.
No, the first shot, and then that one. I don't think so.
right.
Good job.
Yeah, well
Cool.
done.
Wait,
Nice work.
guys, the first shot you were trying to hit here.
Yeah.
And it was here, or was it here?
It was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So we dialed
That
it
was
in.
like-
Good job.
I knew I had to move it to the right.
That's
From
right.
what
Yeah, I moved it a little bit to the right.
From what I was from what I'm normally used to seeing you shoot, that was kind of junk.